Ray Seahorn was an absolute revelation to me in her portrayal of Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul, and I couldn't have been more excited to hear that Vince Gilligan himself was writing a character specifically for her in a brand new original sci-fi series, which was renewed for a sophomore season prior to a single episode airing. In Pluribus, Seahorn is sensational and award-worthy, which has literally been proven, whilst playing series lead, romantasy author Carol Sturka. This character, whom she beautifully and believably portrays, is exceedingly layered and complex, which allows for Seahorn to very impressively flex her massive acting muscles. Sturka possesses a generally snarky and pessimistic demeanor, though as a result of the show's eerie, verging on apocalyptic premise, she is forced to endure unfathomable emotional turmoil. And Ray had to be magnetic in order for this series to work, given the fact that this is largely a one-woman show. Technically, there's a pair of other central characters. Carol's seemingly content chaperone, Zosha, played by Carolina Widra, and immune individual Manusos, portrayed by Carlos Manuel Vesca, alongside a trio of supporting players, Miriam Shore's Helen, Carol's late lover and now former manager, Sambashuta's Kumba, a hedonist essentially, and Carol's antithesis, at least at the time of his few interactions with her, as well as Lakshmi, portrayed by an actress whose name I'd rather not butcher, another of the few immune beings who's constantly butting heads with Miss Sturka. But a solid 80% of the time, the audience is viewing the Ray Seahorn show. Zosha is this very intriguing creation throughout the 9-episode season. Her demeanor is effectively and appropriately calm and alluring and warm. I'm sure it would take this charming woman no more than 3 hours to successfully rope me into this hive mind. I was compelled by the gradually evolving dynamic between she and Carol. In the first couple episodes, Carol's feelings toward her are entirely hostile and contentious. Carol feels utterly violated by Zosha and the hive mind. By the mid-ish way point of the season, we see Carol break down in Zosha's arms while she hugs her tightly and desperately. This is after Carol had been in complete isolation for quite some time, when the hive mind claimed to need space away from her. This was a particularly powerful moment. It reminds one of the vast importance of simple human touch. Throughout much of the season's remainder, as Carol continues to learn as much as possible about the hive mind and its function, she attempts to individualize Zosha, even experiencing a fit of denial and delusion by the time the finale rolls around, as she vacations with her romantic partner, essentially, whom she has persuaded to pretty consistently refer to herself as I, as opposed to we. But in the end, although the real Zosha seems to still be in there somewhere, Carol finally accepts the truth, returning to her primary objective of solving this global hive mind problem. The cinematography is immersive in its multitude of angles and duration of shots. It's unsurprising, the meticulous and often beautiful nature of the cinematography, as Pluribus was created by the master, Papa of Breaking Bad, and co-parent of the aforementioned Better Call Saul, Vince Gilligan, alongside his mega-talented team, who ashore were given not only visual versatility, but some truly captivating environments. Now, this whole general hive mind / invasion of the very alien body snatchers concept is by no means revolutionary. What's unique, of course, is that we're viewing said concept through Gilligan's very artistic lens, and the series deals in many interesting ideas in that exact unique, subtly stylistic regard. For example, we tackle grief, purpose, independence, codependence, and very interestingly, the sometimes scarily enticing nature of conformity. All the while, I was quietly compelled by the mystery component of the show. I dug Carol's recurring giant whiteboard dissecting said mystery. I felt and believed the stakes, particularly in moments like in episode 4, during an intense sequence when the hive mind grows instantaneously and politely perturbed when Carol is grilling Zosha Zosha about the potential reversal of the infected. After viewing this 9-episode premiere season, I can say wholeheartedly that I will be present with piqued interest on the night of season 2 episode 1's airing, as this was definitely a solid start. Not a perfect start. I mean, there's barely such a thing. And I love an atmospheric slow burn in regard to both TV and film, but I must say there are certainly times when the burn is a wee bit too slow. There are multiple moments of really interesting and intense plot progression. I could have just used a bit more of it. In the first half of the season, Carol is very adamant about and determined to defeat, essentially, this hive mind while she's utterly opposed to joining them or it. We then spend some time traveling with Manusos to ABQ, that primary sequence being one of my favorites of the season. I was captivated by the visuals, the score, and that brief English phrase he was repeating to himself. We watch as one of the immune decides to join the hive through a very eerie ritualistic display, as well as a diluted, extended sort of honeymoon starring Carol and Zosha, which I discussed earlier, which was quietly fascinating and ultimately kind of heartbreaking. Zosha basically states that not only has the hive discovered a new forthcoming method of forcing Carol to join them, but that said joining would be a display of her, or their, love. Carol whispers to her, "You wouldn't do this to me if you really loved me." Seahorn's perfect delivery conveyed to me just how desperately Carol wishes Zosha in this current state was her own person and a genuine partner to Carol, but she accepts that that simply is not the case, and they, not she, are simply going to pursue what they were always meant to, as it is in the hive mind's nature to indoctrinate Carol into it. This is great, captivating but it results in Carol being reinvigorated to save the world, which is what she possessed when the season commenced. Then the season ends, and we'll have to wait another couple years, at least, to see how this story continues. And again, I'm just delivering respectfully, basically my sole critique of a well-crafted story, put together by the best in the biz in all components of it. I really like this show. I'm hooked in terms of, I'm definitely going to stick around until this mystery is solved, but I would have been more content if the place that we're at in the narrative by season's end was where we finished up episode 6, for example, and now we had another 3 hours to go. I'm not saying I want a rocket ship pace. I generally dig what Vince Gilligan and company do to create effective atmosphere. I just hope that season 2 covers a bit more ground, I suppose. And that's easier said than done, in part due to the fact that this is a story that has a clear end. There is an inevitable point of no return where the abundance of infected are going to either be cured, not be cured, exterminated, or not exterminated. That is, of course, something I did not expect in the season 1 finale. That is clearly an idea that would at least near this story's conclusion. Pluribus season 1 is unquestionably certified fresh. You know, if this were a Rotten Tomatoes review. The acting is stupendous. The show has been technically stellar, and I'm exceedingly intrigued to learn whether or not Carol is able to reverse this global infection.